So we have a John Deere S240. Customers complaining that the blades on the passenger side are coming loose. So I'm going to go ahead and show what I found. And so I got to lift this up real quick. What I noticed is these blades are actually installed upside down, and not to mention you can already see that this one just spins when it shouldn't, and this one looks good, but I'm noticing, you see how the threads are just barely sticking out here, and then it's recessed in there. So that tells me that that's not even installed properly. So I'm going to pull these off real quick. Let me grab my little impact. So you have the nut, then you have the blade, which is upside down. You can see it was riding along here. This is the cutting edge, and it's brand spanking new because he accidentally mounted this upside down. Another thing I noticed is this washer was like that, which is a spring washer. It's supposed to be on this way. And then I also noticed that the teeth on the spindle assembly is completely boogered up. So this is no longer popping in place like it should. So we're gonna have to replace this. And I'm gonna pull the other side real quick. So blade again, upside down. The spring washer was installed properly that time. You can see there's a lot of wear here on the back side of the blade. Should be right on this side because it should have been mounted like this in it. It was mounted like this. And you can see that this is kind of all boogered up on here on this spindle assembly, so it has no teeth to catch in. So this spindle assembly also will have to get replaced along with the blade. So we're gonna go ahead and drop this. We're gonna bring it into the shop, go ahead and remove the deck and the spindles along with the, well, we have the old blades off, and we'll get those all swapped out with new, and he should be good to go. All right, so what I did is I just dropped the deck all the way. We got to pull the pins that are holding the deck on. On this side of the mower deck, where this goes up, there's a pin and a washer. So we just pull those out, and then this should be able to rotate. You could take it off, or you can leave it on. I try to leave those on if I can help it. This is a tension style. It's electric PTO, so it's always in tension when engaging the blades and disengaging the blades. So what you can do is on these springs, if you have a hard time pulling on them, one of my tricks is I'll grab some rope. I actually like to use, you could actually use, now that I think about it, some old ratchet strap that you can cut and save. And I like to use, this is actually a pack strap used for like fishing, underground stuff and tubes and everything. I just cut a section of it. I have a whole spool of it, and I just burn the edge off so it doesn't fray. But anyway, I'll wrap it around there, and then I'll pull back, and then you can pull the spring off just like so. And usually I'll leave them attached on there, depending on the situation and stuff. So now that I got that loose, I can go ahead and lift the belt up and over that guide, and then same thing on the other side. And then right up here, there's the stabilizer arm. Got to pull the pin out along with the washer, drop that down. And then up in the front, for the front deck hanger, there's usually a pin. And depending on how they last installed it, sometimes they're easy, sometimes they're not. So we got that out. I'm gonna set it up here. This usually kind of makes a good little tray. And it's just the exact same thing on the other side minus the front. There's only one in the front. Pull the pin out along with the washer, set it up here. I'm gonna lift up on the deck a little. Then I'm gonna drop that hanger down. I'm just gonna actually pull it out. And then up in the front, you got the stabilizer arm. Well, it's kind of the center in the front up here, but this one, someone's using some pins, ouch. Some pins that weren't exactly OE, and so some of them, like this is a thinner one, it's gone further down. There we go. I was able to get that one out. And then it looks like there's no washer on that one. And now I should be able to slide it out. So I'm gonna slide it out this way. There we go. So this is the perfect time that while you have the deck off to take a quick picture of where the belt routing is. Generally, the rule of thumb is a V-style pulley always has the inner part of the V going towards it. The flat side of the pulley is always the back flat side of the belt. And looks like these retainers are nice and tight. Same thing with this belt retainer here. And just kind of check everything, make sure everything is feeling good. We're replacing both of these, so we don't have to worry about those too much. And then also take note of where your spring is. I'm gonna go ahead and just pull it, kind of put it back roughly in place. And I'll tuck this down. And then, so now we're gonna go ahead and pull these pulleys off, and also we already pulled the blades off, and then we'll pull the spindle assemblies off. And let me grab the new parts. Let's get these belts on there like so, and hold them, and I'll set my impact all the way up. And the thing when you're doing this, don't get too close, because sometimes they'll have a tendency to pinch you pretty good. I try to pull them out a little bit so I can let it move and kind of work itself. Now sometimes these are kind of on there, so sometimes you have to kind of help it a little bit. And then just kind of double check these, see how they look. I don't like it when they start getting too rounded because they can have a tendency to spin. They can have a tendency to spin. So in certain cases, I'll put a little tack weld so that I can make sure that these don't spin. I have had them spin on me before. Not often, but I have had it happen to a point where you just don't want to have it happen, especially on pickup and deliveries, because it just takes up a lot of your time and stuff, and the job should have been done right the first time. All right, so I'm going to do the same thing, put the belt around it, make sure it's all the way up at the highest setting. There we go. Pull that off. Same gig. Sometimes these just need a little bit of help. There we go. We'll set that aside. All right, so kind of tuck these the belt down. Now we have these 4 bolts, which I believe are 10 millimeter. Actually, they're 13. So we'll get those off. And then send the gig over here. And then these go out from underneath. So to do that, I'm going to take this hanger off, set it on there, lift this up, slide her out. What you can do is you could use like a little jack stand or a block of wood to help kind of keep that up if you like. So what's going on is this one, you can see the teeth are completely gone. This one, you can see the teeth are still there, but they're mushroomed out. If you kind of look, it's probably going to be kind of hard to see, but they're kind of mushroomed out, making it basically very, very difficult to get those blades back on. You have to kind of go in there with the Dremel, kind of clean those out if you want to get these back on. It's not worth the time. So that's why we end up replacing them. And that's why we always recommend that you take good care and pay attention to when you install these or install your blades back onto your spindle assembly. I had to order some replacement pulleys, because if you notice that center there is all rounded, it's supposed to look like that. And so we have some new spindle assemblies, some new pulleys, and new blades that we're going to put on. And so let's get started. I already greased these up. I always recommend greasing these up first. Sometimes some of them come grease, and sometimes some don't. Don't take that chance, just grease it up. So we're gonna go ahead and install these now, and to do that, we gotta lift this deck up a little bit. Let me grab my little jack stand here, lift this up a little, and then, see if I can, put this through. The grease fitting is on top, so that's kind of nice. So you don't have to worry about making sure that it's in a certain position. All I'm doing is getting all of the nylon nuts started. Oop. Now let me grab the right socket. Let's go ahead and get this snugged up. That one's on. Now let's get our other one on over here. Get this lined up like so. Now holding it up, I'm just getting it so snug. The reason why I hold it up, because I want to make sure it's in that proper position so it doesn't get jammed underneath. There we go. So we'll go ahead and get these blades installed. Because by getting the blades installed, we have something to kind of grab on. Just make sure you install the blades the right direction. Let me grab some anti-seize real quick. Before installing blades, I always recommend put anti-seize on these threads. It will help you tremendously when you go to take these off. I've seen some of these bolts seize on there, and it's just a real pain. Also note, this washer here is slightly domed. Right now, it's kind of on the outside is higher, and on the inside it's lower, the way I have it placed right now. If I flip it over, inside's higher, outside's lower. Always make sure the outside is lower, facing out where the nut is going to be. So let's go ahead and install this. Make sure I grab the right socket. Okay, now when you install these, make sure they're seated on their flush, and then you can hold the blade. Let me get this torque increased a little bit. There we go. So that one's on there, like it should. Now, do the other side. Making sure I get the teeth lined up appropriately. There we go. I already put anti-seize on this. Making sure the spring washer's in the right direction, where the inner part is facing out towards the nut, the don't part. Now that I have it locked down, and what I did was I was holding the blade, and the inner shaft should not spin. Everything is good, meaning that I have it keyed in its appropriate position. I always like to spin them just to check, make sure that nothing's hitting and everything looks good now. So we're gonna go back to the top. So now that we got the blades installed, we can go ahead and get these pulleys reinstalled. And on here, we have this nut. And now I can get this started. And what I do is I reach in underneath and I grab the blade. Let me make sure I have the right socket for this. So what I do is I reach in underneath and I grab the blade and I hold it, and I make sure this pulley is seated in its proper position, and then I tighten up this nut. There we go. Now we got to do the same thing on the other side. Get it in its appropriate position, then holding the nut or the blade, getting that started. Now we'll tighten it up. There we go. All right, so now we got to make sure that this belt is routed on here properly. And the back side of the belt is the flat side. The V is, so on these you have a flat side of a pulley, and then you have also a flat side here. This is a V side, so the V goes on the inside of this. So we got to flip it over. So this goes like so. And then this spring, it connects like this on this a tension spring, just like so. Just like that. So once you get everything put back together, it should look just like this. The only thing is the customer has removed those covers. There's supposed to be a cover over this and a cover over this, and I don't have that. Spring mounts right in here to right here for the tension on that. And now we got to install it onto the mower. All right, put these hangers exactly the way they came off. This one was on this side, this one was on this side. If you note, there's a height difference, so you got to make sure that you install them on the right side. I don't know if this deck was leveled in the first place, but they had it this way, so we're putting it back this way that they had. It came in for these issues. Unless the deck's way out of level, I'm not going to mess with that. So we're going to go ahead and install it. So we got to slide it back under, and then I got to drop the deck bar all the way down, and then we have our front stabilizer that goes right up here. I always put the clip in the direction that things travel. I'm gonna go ahead and make sure this is in its proper spot, and then lift this to get it up and on that hanger, and then put the pan in from the top down. And then up here in the front, we also got to make sure we get this reconnected, the front hanger reconnected. And if you don't know which hole, usually you can see how there's a round outer lip. It looks like it's just the exact same thing as that, so we know that should go in there. So now I'm going to get on the other side and get both the hanger and the stabilizer arm reattached. So that one up here, and then this guy back up on there like so. And then I always put the pin in from top down, that way it doesn't have a chance to fall out. Okay, so now we have the belt. So what we can do is we go back on the other side. I'm going to go ahead and disconnect the tension arm spring, and then I'm going to put the belt back up and on in its proper place, paying attention to where the hangers are or the belt retainers and such. And then I got to reattach this spring, and then using a cable or some rope or something, go ahead and pull the tension spring and get it reattached. So now just double check, triple check that all the belts are now in its proper place. Now we're going to go ahead and raise this up, and I'm just going to take a quick peek at the deck height, and so far it looks good. All right, so now last thing I need to do is go ahead and fire this up and test it with the PTO. So we're gonna go ahead and fire or open up the shop and take it outside into the lawn and test it. So I'm noticing that the deck is slightly, so the deck is at an angle, I can tell from up here. So in order to check deck level and stuff, I need to set the tire pressure first. because tire pressure will play a huge role in the deck level. So, so we're going to go ahead and set the tire pressure real quick in all tires. Yeah, it's crazy how much of a change you can see in deck height, especially if the tires are low. So that's why it's very important to set the tire pressure first. All right, so now that we got the tire pressure set, I'm gonna check. I'm gonna just take a quick peek in the front. It could be that it was just because the tire pressures were low. And yeah, the deck is at a level, I can see it. So we're gonna, now that we got the tire pressure set, we're gonna go ahead and grab a mirror, a cloth tape measure, and a flashlight. And so what I'm doing is I'm setting up my mirror like so, and a flashlight just underneath here, and I'm going to rotate these blades so they're like this. Then I'm going to take my tape measure, I'm going to go up and over the blade and then measure down and look to see where from the ground to the tape, the bottom cutting edge of that blade. And I'm going to see where it's at. So right now, making sure it's straight up and down. We are a 1 inch, 1.5 inches. So now I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. And on this side, we are at 2 3/4. So we are 1.25 inches different. So we're going to go ahead and raise up that side of the deck to get it more in line with that one. So it looks like I'm going to need an adjustable or a quick speed wrench. We're going to go ahead and bring this thing up. So it's about 1 1/4 inches, so it should be about 3/4 of an inch difference. Because if you raise up this side, generally speaking, that side will go down. So now I'm going to go ahead and check it again. And we are at 2 1/4. Now I'm going to go on the other side. And we are at 2 1/4. So how I'm checking is I'm going from ground to the bottom of the ground to the bottom cutting edge of the blade. And I'm measuring it just like this on the other side, but I had to use my mirror and a flashlight to see. So now we are level. Now that we got the deck reinstalled, tires set to the proper pressure, and then we checked deck level and found that it was way out. We adjusted the deck level, and now everything should be good. So the last thing we need to do is start it up and test it and make sure everything's good. So we're gonna go ahead and start this up and take it to the lawn and test it. So the last thing I do is after I start it up and do a quick check, make sure the belt looks good and everything looks good. So we are good to go. So I'm gonna go ahead and write this all up and we'll return it to the customer.